Greetings, agents of change. I am joining you from my beautiful garden here in the mountains of North Carolina, where there is peace and tranquility and nothing but the sound of a distant lawnmower. I have to tell you, we've had such an amazing summer. I'm somewhat in denial that it is now officially over, so I am trying to string it out as long as I can. In the meanwhile, today I wanted to focus very briefly, as I have another platform that I must get on, regarding the videos that we see coming in from all around the world. And I know this has been an issue with leadership since the beginning of time. But I have to tell you, since I was trained by Dr. Myles Munroe in the principles of leadership, I never grasped the weight or the gravity of this very important topic, because, you know, in the 90s and the 2000s and growing up, it was a lot different than what we are witnessing now. And so I did want to address some things as you guys join me today. Good morning, Michelle, Shibu, Lawrence. Oh, from Canada, Calvary is in the house. Thank you for joining us. Put the nation, put your flag, greetings around the world. Agents of change, kingdom citizens. I love when you join me. Thank you. So as I said, I'm going to briefly highlight what I consider this true pandemic really is. You see, the only way out of leadership, the only way out of chaos is leadership. For chaos never goes away by itself. Somebody must lead you out of it. Whether it is economical chaos, whether it is political chaos, whether it is social chaos, whether it is economic chaos, somebody must own it and take responsibility. And herein lies the problem. Somebody led us here. Therefore, a real leader is needed to lead us out. So that's why what I consider the true global pandemic is, it's inauthentic, poor, non-existent, illegitimate, unprincipled leadership. That's what I consider the pandemic is. This is the true crisis. It's the crisis of leadership. And we are all witnessing this from all corners of the world. So clearly the predicament we are in is that the ignorant, illegitimate leaders are in positions of power, and their motives are self-serving and driven by the desire to remain in power. They all have their personal, national, and global agendas, rather than the interests of you, the people they are mandated to serve. Now, unfortunately, in our culture, it does not lend itself to producing true leaders, but rather it produces deal makers. These are people who compromise their principles to please others or their own self-interest, and they seek pleasure without conscience. So we must never think that a politician is a leader. This is why the establishment needs you. Authentic leaders who will operate with a conviction based on godly principles. People who hold in high esteem the values and the morals of our Creator. The void of true authentic leadership has created a global crisis in many levels and in many ways. Take, for instance, Nicaragua, I see you. Take, for instance, what we witnessed in Wuhan, China. Now, if the leaders had responded in a way that was not self-serving, and they would lock it down immediately when they realized that a virus had infected somebody in the lab and therefore was a risk to the population, rather than just shutting down their own domestic travel, they didn't. They did not shut down the international travel. That is why we are here today, because of their own motives. This is a leadership issue. That is the root of the problem. And as Dr. Myles said, leadership is the cause and the solution to all the problems. So here we are witnessing now economic uncertainty, instability, political unrest, and the disillusionment of so many people with governments. We have religious conflicts, we have social injustice, and they only have gotten worse over time. So the majority of our leaders are more concerned with optics rather than actual policy. And these issues are only some of the many leadership challenges that we are facing today. And society wants a resolution to the problems it created itself. However, they are desperately trying to solve the problems with the same level of thinking that caused the issues in the first place. That's the issue. So there are two types of crisis. The ones that are self-manufactured by one's own poor decisions or self-serving motives, or those that are actually created by nature. As Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And that's what we are witnessing. That's the problem. So this is precisely why we need leaders who know who they are, they know their purpose, they have a vision, they understand time-tested principles, who can make tough decisions, leaders that can inspire others, therefore they don't need to manipulate them, leaders who respond to change and are compassionate, those that are honorable and have character. They must not be motivated by money or popularity, fame either. So there is such a vacuum of authentic leaders that I have been compelled to create an authentic leadership e-course, which I will be launching in November after I return back to Florida. I will also be doing authentic leadership boot camps in the fall, in person, when I return to Florida. So we have countries, we have communities, we have schools, we have corporations. They are all being overmanaged and underled. The world is filled with plenty of managers, but very few authentic leaders. So the world's leaders have led us currently to the state that we are in. And the only path forward is to take responsibility, understand the times, and we know what to do. We must train people with intentional leadership mentality and ability, and understand the original leadership philosophy of our Creator, as well as the time-tested principles regarding laws, the fundamental rights from a biblical perspective. And this is necessary in order to lead with integrity. So we don't need people possessed with power. We must replace them. We must become a nation of righteousness, not religion. We must rule with righteousness. We do not need religious rulership, and you must know the difference. Therefore, it is vitally important to understand your source of leadership philosophy, because we operate out of it without even realizing. It's so deep in our psyche, we don't even realize why we say what we do, the decisions that we made when it comes to leadership opportunities, leadership decisions. So what we are sadly dealing with today is majority of global leaders operate with the influence of the Machiavelli's philosophy of leadership. He's often been called the father of modern political philosophy. And through his own experience, he came to the conviction that the only way to rule must be done utilizing deception, manipulation, and deceit. And that is precisely what you are witnessing every time you turn on the news. Thus, the use of the general principle that they live by is the end justifies the means. This is precisely the philosophy of majority of the people in positions of leadership today. However, there is an alternative and a far superior philosophy. The original authentic philosophy, it's genuine, it's true from our Creator. It is based on the tenet of inspiration, of purpose, of vision, rather than fear and manipulation. As Dr. Myles penned the leadership definition, it is the capacity to influence. Now, if you cannot influence, you must manipulate. So listen carefully to every single word that Dr. Myles came up with this statement. It is not a haphazard statement. He spent years defining the leadership philosophy. Leadership is the capacity to influence through an inspiration generated by a passion, not greed, not manipulation, but motivated by a vision. Birthed from a deep conviction, produced by a purpose. Clearly, these two philosophies of leadership are polar opposites. The Machiavellian philosophy is pure evil, rooted in deceit, lies, manipulation for selfish gains. But contrastedly, the authentic, genuine leadership philosophy of our Creator is based on inspiration and influence, birthed from a conviction that is purified by transparent intentions and the benefit for others. So the basic foundational tenet of the original leadership spirit is inspiration. For you inspire others. This is the highest form of leadership, is inspiration. Because when you discover your purpose and you live it out, inspiration is breathed in you. Then it is reflected in the form of your vision. And that is when an authentic leader is born. However, for those who do not have an authentic vision and cannot inspire and are not motivated by pure passion, unadulterated passion, they must resort to manipulation and fear-mongering. These are people who can become dictators and master manipulators. They have a drive to use whatever necessary means to gain power, to keep it, and to seek control over others, and to seek status for oneself. But a true authentic leader comes down to two fundamental things: who you are and how you think. Your leadership spirit is currently trapped by the mentality of our culture and the traditions that you grew up in. You see, conventional thinking makes no room for creativity. It does not allow you to stand out from the norm. Unfortunately, many of us have been conditioned to limit ourselves. But we do not have to remain there. And our leadership does not need to remain hidden, trapped dormant. Your leadership is unleashed when you believe inherently you are a leader, and a mentality that is fused with principles. Your mentality is more important than your title. And this is why your mentality must be equal to your belief system. And your belief system must empower you to be who you were created to be. You can make a difference, and I will continue to produce content with this very objective. I will conclude this session today with a brief history lesson. The Greeks believed that leaders were born and not made, and that everyone else was therefore destined to be a follower. Therefore, only an elite few leaders or people become leaders, and as it was predetermined by the gods. This false philosophy of leadership was then incorporated by the Romans when they conquered the Greeks, and then it spread throughout the world, the largest empire. And it still has been adopted by millions of people in history, and even more so today. However, the truth is that the leadership is inherent in everyone as a divine deposit by our Creator. Through self-discovery of who you are, you can hone your unique gifts and unlock the leader that's weaved into your very DNA. Therefore, everybody is born to be a leader. And as Dr. Myles Munroe taught us, trapped in every follower is a hidden leader. But if you accept the false ideas about who can and who cannot be a leader, then it can smother your potential. And if you do not identify and tap into your giftedness, then it will be wasted and buried with you at the end of your life. We need you. Your generation needs you. Some of you have had a passing thought of entering public service, perhaps seeing the issues we're having on the school board or the PTA, the school unions, or a seat in the local government. Perhaps you may feel unqualified and insecure. Well, I have good news for you. I'm going to offer training in our next Agents of Change Symposium in this January for this very thing in Naples, Florida. Therefore, I am calling you, those of you with character, those of you that understand the pure, unadulterated leadership is the service of others through your gifting, through your passion, through your purpose. Those of you that truly desire to make a change for good in your community, at whatever level it may be. You may even think it's not significant, but I am here to tell you that it is. Whatever that passing thought is, don't leave it behind. Plant that seed, plant that thought. You see, it may be local, it may be statewide, it may be national. Now you have to understand, politics focuses on programs rather than authentic vision for citizens. You must know your vision. What problem were you sent here to solve? Many are preoccupied with promises rather than purpose. You must know why you are here. We need statesmen and people in the community who think with integrity. They think of the next generation rather than the next election. You can't make your decisions based on the security of a next election. That is inauthentic, illegitimate, and the people see right through that. We need God-fearing men and women with values that would stand in the way of adversity and could be true agents of change in this generation. We are in desperate need of this. May we be the solution to this true pandemic, this true global crisis of illegitimate, inauthentic leadership. May we be the answers to our own prayers. No government is better than the people in it. I don't care how much you pray for the government, it doesn't change. We should be teaching, training, and praying for the right people to be in authority. So praying for the government is not asking God to bless the government, but rather to petition for the right people, righteous people, to be in government. For if you do not get involved in your own governing, you will be ruled by a fool. We cannot afford to let others take over our lives. We must be involved in the process. So be looking for announcements coming soon on Facebook and Instagram. And I have to tell you, they are limiting my viewership. I text people and I'm like, are you seeing these posts I've been doing every day for the past month? They're like, no, we saw one. And I'm like, what is going on? They're not seeing. They are limiting our feed on the Agents for Change page on Facebook and on the Instagram. It's very frustrating. But I have a solution, which I will be announcing very soon. Thank you for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure. I'm going to jump on Instagram a little bit earlier because I do have another platform I must be on at 1 o'clock with a very dear friend and sister of mine. Thank you for joining me around the world. Kai is watching. Hi, my dear friend. So good to see you. Nicola from the UK. Hello. Thank you for joining me today. Paulo. Thank you, everybody. Alex, Puerto Rico is in the house. I love it. Darian. Yes, thank you guys for all the comments. Shibu, great to see you. And I will end with this. May his kingdom come and his will be done on earth, just as it is in heaven. Hi, Pastor Sonny. Good to see you. Be blessed, my friends. I'm running to Instagram.